just be memes, I suppose, but both these teams beaten big rosters to get here, and now they're here for game 1.
Oh, very interesting. We got a Retribution Paladin, Moonkin, Resto Shaman coming in from Zebras, and Meme Team, they're going to be going with that Mistweaver Turbo, the Way of the Crane. So look for Drainer to use that Way of the Crane to help out his team, put out some damage, and top off his team. But I think this is quite a good pick for Fake Zebras.
Yeah, fun fact, actually, I was talking to Corky just before the broadcast. He actually got his first ever rank 1 title in the first season of Legion, running this exact composition with this exact Ret Paladin. So obviously he's a little bit veteran on the composition. He's popped his Incarnation, gets actually the full Cyclone onto Drainer on his Way of the Crane, forcing Trinket, Life Cocoon, Astral Shift, everything. Great start for Fake Zebras.
Yeah, that was a beautiful CC coming in from Fake Zebras. Drainer now getting swapped too, down to 5% HP. Actually, Life Cocoons, okay, he didn't Life Cocoon the wrong target. There's a Fortifying Elixir onto himself. He manages to get away. There's a full Stormbolt over onto Corky. Barkskin going to be traded out to slow down some of his damage, but very nicely done by Fake Zebras. If you look at Drainer, he actually basically has no defensive cooldowns left whatsoever. That's all from the crowd control coming in from Fake Zebras.
Yeah, moment of composure here for Meme Team, who had a quite frankly horrible opener. They do now have the Way of the Crane back available though. Hammer of Justice onto Drainer. He's going to use that Way of the Crane to immune the incoming stun, able to break out of that, do some healing with damage over onto Lunatic, the Retribution Paladin, who's just kind of waiting for the Way of the Crane, honestly. If he can get that Hammer of Justice back up, Drainer will have no break for that, so that's something they're definitely playing for. That's now down. They can push in offensively. We see the full root Solar Beam onto Drainer. Lunatic taking a fair bit of damage. Honestly, no pressure coming out of that though. Nice Cyclone, but no damage to follow up.
Yeah, Loveless is going to be line of sighting, throwing in some range damage on the Corky, on the Lone Tar. Lunatic landing that full Hammer of Justice now on a Drainer once again. That's going to be the second trinket coming in from Drainer, so very nicely done, slowly working through all those trinkets coming in from Meme Team. Zray now looking to get aggressive on the Lone Tar, putting out nice pressure, nice Earthshock stun as well as he gets lower. Blessing Protection going to be forced out, so Lunatic has to keep Lone Tar alive.
Yeah, somehow Lunatic seems to be a bit of a tongue twister. Tongue twisters galore in this series, but something that we have to be watching for is definitely how Meme Teams start to set up their win conditions. Obviously they had the bad start, but they're looking much more stable now. Drainer has his PvP trinket back available to break incoming crowd control, and obviously a fair bit of mana to heal, being that Mistweaver Monk. But on the other side, we've got a Retribution Paladin and the Incarnation coming out of Corky right now, so definitely a lot of damage, but it feels like as the game goes longer, Meme Team should have the advantage. They're winning on the mana pool ever so slightly, but just the tankiness of this Thundercleave composition of the Elemental and the Warrior with that Mortal Strike, they should have the advantage going into the later game.
And they're just line of sighting all these cooldowns. Like you said, there's a full Hammer of Justice on a Drainer. He activates the Way of the Crane. Lunatic getting a little bit low as well. Drainer ports away. Should be able to keep his team alive, actually contributing a crackling Jade Lightning there. Don't often see Mistweavers use that, but it is a little bit of range damage he can throw out. Not really getting too much effective healing done with that Way of the Crane, but he does manage to survive. It is a great survival tool to get out of those stuns. You can port away to safety, and that's what we see Drainer do in this matchup. Now Corky getting bursted down a little bit. Barkskin going to be forced out. He still has the Renewal though. Lone Tar still has Spirit Link Totem. He still has his Trinket, Earthen Shield Totem, so both teams in kind of a stalemate at this point.
Yeah, both teams just playing the long game just a little bit. I think one of the big people to watch is Drainer. He has to execute perfectly on that Mistweaver Monk. If he gets caught out without Way of the Crane, we've seen the damage potential from Fake Zebras. They can really blow him up. Loveless getting caught behind the pillar. No love lost though. Trades out the Astral Shift. Should be able to survive that one. Lunatic now taking the brunt of the damage as Ray's just tunneling into him. This is the thing. A Ret Paladin is great into cleave compositions where it can do multiple damage to multiple melees, but when it's just 1v1, that Warrior with the Mortal Strike is going to do so much work onto the Retribution Paladin.
Yeah, Lunatic just cannot push in and get that damage on the Loveless. There's a full leg sweep on the Corky right now, so he can flow back into Bear Form. Frenzied Regen going to be used. Hammer of Justice now onto Drainer. Corky looking to push in and get some damage out. Goes for the Cyclone, but he gets Wind Sheared. Very nicely done by Loveless. And you can see Meme Team, they're slowly but surely taking down Fake Zebras. Everyone's, hovering down around 50% HP. If you look at mana, Drainer's winning that as well, so this is looking good for Meme Team. They can just stall at the game and survive as long as possible. But Dre taking a whole bunch of bursts. The Hex over on the Loveless. Drainer's not going to be able to dispel that into the full Hammer of Justice as well. Dre down to around 40% HP. He's just kiting around in distance. It's just going to be so tanky.
Yeah, it's getting really scary for Dre. He needs to run behind the pillar. We see double root beam, but I think Drainer actually trinketed out of that one. Yes, he did, to keep his Warrior alive. Die by the sword, that parry defensive cooldown for Dre as well. Lots of defensives once again forced out by Fake Zebras, but it was their offensive cooldowns. It was the Incarnation. It was the wings coming out of Lunatic, and now they need to be the ones pushing in once again. They need to find a way of not only forcing those defensive cooldowns from the Meme Team, then actually pushing in without those offensive cooldowns and landing the kill. Now we see Corky gets the Cyclone, but a beautiful triple fear coming in from Dre to peel the offensive push.
Yeah, Astral Shift going to be used by Loveless, so not actually too bad. Zray uses Fear there. Loveless overlapped it with the Astral Shift. Now a Hammer of Justice over on the Drainer. He has the Way of the Crane, opting not to use it, going for that Shilun's Gift. Going to be topping himself off immediately as Dampening has kicked in. There's a full Stormbolt onto Lontar. He gets sanked out of that, so the utility of that Retribution Paladin really coming into play. Can help out Lontar by removing those stuns occasionally. Zray, though, he is really going to be that tank for their team on that Arms Warrior. He's just trying to make sure Lunatic has no options but to hit him. And like you said, Adrian, he is going to win that exchange.
Yeah, he is. And I think one of the things as well is that Drainer has learned from the start of this game. He was almost punished for his error getting Cyclone on the Way of the Crane, but not quite enough damage. So now he's learned to hold on to that cooldown a little bit, but they did trade it out there for the Hammer of Justice coming in. So there's a great opportunity if they can get one more swap over onto Drainer here. He doesn't have that Trinket, doesn't have the Way of the Crane. They could potentially blow him up in the next Hammer of Justice from Lunatic. And the team's actually stacking, which, going back to our point we were talking about earlier, is great for the Retribution Paladin since he can just cleave down the entire team.
Yeah, Lunatic trying to chase down Zray with the full root beam onto Drainer right now. Zray down to 50% HP, but Drainer, he still has everything. He still has the Life Cocoon to keep him alive. Leg sweep over on the Lunatic, and you can see Meme Team, they know they are going to win the long game if they can just stall it out. Well, maybe they won't actually. You know, Fake Zebras, they have those key offensive cooldowns that can really put it over the top. We saw them basically one-shot Meme Team in the opener, so it could be risky to just try to stall out the game. Maybe the damage coming in from Fake Zebras will just eventually be way too overwhelming.
Yeah, Corki is just ripping into Loveless right now. So much solo damage, but the Way of the Crane from Drainer. Good Cyclone on that. There's the Hammer of Justice. Actually, Trinket forced out once again from Drainer, and that's huge, but this is the offensive cooldowns. Once again, the Incarnation. This is the first one going into Dampening, so Drainer respects that, trades out his cooldowns, but there's no Way of the Crane, so he isn't going to have that huge amount of healing right now. Corki, once again, pushing in, trying to be disrupted, doing a fair bit of damage with that, but once again, Drainer respects it. He ports behind the pillar. Actually, the full Cyclone, but with Loveless and Zray line of sighting, they should be able to survive this one.
Yeah, they're going to be completely fine, but like we said, Dampening is getting higher and higher. There's a full root beam over on Drainer. He's not going to be able to get out of that. Way of the Crane not available just yet. And as a result, Loveless has to use the Astral Shift. There's a nice cactus stun going out on Drainer as well. He uses the Way of the Crane to get out of some CC to top off Loveless. It looks like Loveless wants to reposition. He doesn't like how this matchup is going, wants to create a little bit more space. So he's going to be running line of sight, and Corki going for the full moon over on his Ray right now, but really not accomplishing too much there. Now Lontar is actually falling a little bit behind. He's going to be popping that Ascendance to try to keep his team aggressive in this moment.
Yeah, and we can see Zray actually getting very aggressive. The Stormkeeper used there, trying to get some damage over onto Corki. We've seen Lunatic being his main target. He feels confident now, Dampening up to 17% healing reduction for both these healers. He's the one who's getting aggressive onto Corki. There's no Incarnation for about 35 more seconds. He needs to get some pressure going in that time. Drainer getting caught up into a long crowd control chain right now, though of course Loveless should be able to dispel that Hex. Doesn't look like he's able to get it just yet. Cyclone coming in onto Zray, just peeling it up a little bit, but I mean, Meme Team should be the one starting to take the initiative here, but the good Cyclones constantly from Corki is really shutting down the momentum.
Man, I don't know who wins this game if it does go long. Zray, you know, forced into that defensive stance right now. Corki just going to be spamming out a full moon here, chunking down Zray just a little bit right now. Full root beam over on the Drainer. He does have the Trinket Life Cocoon. Might have to actually force it out, but he's going to be channeling that Soothing Mist onto Zray. There's a full Hammer of Justice used as well, as Lunatic uses Avenging Wrath, trying to get super aggressive here. Nice Blood Elf Silence as well. Nice pressure coming in from Fake Zebras as they're looking to close out this game with a Cyclone on the Drainer. Dive of the Sword's going to get traded out as well. Corki going for the full moon onto Loveless, just trying to spread that Moonkin damage all over the place, making it difficult for Drainer to decide who he wants to keep alive.
Yeah, I think Meme Team have done a great job of trading cooldowns. They need to do it once again here. This is the Incarnation and the Avenging Wrath coming out. All offensive cooldowns essentially, all the damage from Fake Zebras. But once again, just respected by Meme Team. They trade out Zray's Die by the Sword. They trade out the Astral Shift, but they still need to be careful here. Full Cyclone onto Drainer. Actually caught up into a full Hodge now. Zray still in trouble. 25% dampening. He's hiding behind a pillar, but Corki in the whole pursuit, chasing down with that Moonkin for those instant sources of damage. But Drainer gets out of the crowd control, able to trade out just a few heals there, keep Zray alive for now, but as Dampening's getting heavier, he's really struggling to keep up. Yeah,
Zray still just line of sighting. Root Beam now over on a Drainer. I don't like this positioning from Meme Team. They need to create more space. They need to run away. Zray is just on top of the enemy team, getting lower and lower, trying to keep himself alive. Line of sighting, Loveless even throwing in some heals. There's a revival coming in from Drainer, activating the Way of the Crane. Finally getting on some blackout kicks on a Lunatic, but it's not enough. The Cyclone comes in from Corki, and this is a big mistake coming in from Meme Team. They can't just be grouped up on that pillar. That's when the infinite CC and damage comes in from Fake Zebras.
Just a perfect game from Corki. I mean, he played so good this game. It looked like maybe Meme Team should have the advantage. Thundercleave typically very good in that.
Freedom these. If Drainer was on like a Paladin, for example, he can drop a Freedom when he doesn't want to get root beamed and give himself a few extra seconds of getting heals out. But now he is on that Mistweaver, and he is going to be taking a full root solar beam, maybe a stun, followed up with a Cyclone, and that's a really long CC chain, especially when there's a ret with all that damage coming in. So we're going to see exactly how the kill ended up happening. We can go ahead and roll that clip. See Corki's channeling that full moon after he gets sheared on the Cyclone. Nice DR cap. Drainer doesn't have his Wave of the Crane just yet. Loveless gonna get cross-kicked right there from Lunatic. Beautifully done. And now Drainer activates the Way of the Crane, the revival. Beautiful Cyclone from Corki is gonna shut all of that healing down. And
say that the Meme Team is going to have now, will that potentially be enough to break up these CC chains, or will the Fake Zebras go up 2-0 against a tank in our second elimination series of the day?
I guess another thing Meme Team has going for them is Voltairix actually has Tiger's Lust, so he can get Drainer out of those root beams if he needs to. So that is going to be some additional utility that they have to actually keep Drainer a little bit more free, as in the last game he just got controlled so much.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Tiger's Lust, he's got, of course, like you talked about, where you can disorient the enemy for 4 seconds, AoE, a little bit like a Dragon's Breath. So definitely a few tools on this Brewmaster Monk to disrupt those crowd control chains, which we saw being so devastating in Game 1.
That leg sweep over on a Lunatic, he trinkets out, he wants to get aggressive. This is not the worst thing for a rep Pally. Everyone on the enemy team is stacked up, you're going to be able to put out nice cleave pressure, but Meme Team, with their positioning, is making it quite difficult for Fake Zebras to actually land any sort of damage right now. Now Voltairix gets cycloned up, Lunatic's going to be chasing down Drainer. It looks like he is the target of choice, but Drainer's doing an excellent job in this series so far, making sure he kites away, making it very difficult for Lunatic to actually get out any sort of significant damage.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about this a little bit at the start, like how the Retribution Paladin would run into the tank, and I mean, the Retribution Paladin has some advantages into the melee cleave, right? Like we said, he can cleave everyone, do a fair bit of magic damage, even against the tank composition, but this is what we mean. There's a lot of like annoying disorients and stuff the Brewmaster Voltairix is going to be able to put out, and it's going to come down to this longer game potentially, but Lontar taking a fair bit of damage. They still have Stray on the Warrior. There's still a lot of damage and disruption for those heals as we see another interrupt coming out into the stun, able to survive though. Lontar with the Ascendant should be able to stabilize at this point.
Yeah, but this is a good positioning for Meme Teams. Ray, though, getting a little bit low. Drainer finally out of the crowd control. Does have the revival, is going to activate that, but Lontar still getting lower and lower. This could be the Blessing of Protection that does come in, as it looks like Meme Teams is going to be training down Lontar as long as they possibly can. Like I said, Voltairix is going to be buffing the damage coming in for both Zray and Drainer. So this is so many defensive cooldowns. If you look, Lontar really doesn't have anything left. He's just struggling to keep himself alive, trying to kite. Corki throwing in some Cyclones as well, but Zray still all over Lontar.
Yeah, with all that tank utility, they can afford to be as offensive as they like, and of course Drainer with the Way of the Crane Monk is going to be contributing with damage. We've got Voltairix and Zray. We know Zray can do a fair bit, and they're just tunneling down Lontar. They're forcing a lot of defensive cooldowns. Spirit Link already out. You can see his bar's basically empty. He has nothing left really. It's down to Lunatic with that Blessing of Protection, who could be the one to save them. But Zray now caught up in the stun, taking a fair bit of damage, but should be able to get saved by his double monks as Meme Team survive and look to push once again.
Yeah, this is the double offensive cooldown coming in from Fake Zebras. If Meme Team can weather the storm, they can survive just a little bit longer, then they can go back to training down Lontar, keeping up that pressure on the Resto Shaman. Now Corki taking a little bit of damage, going to be activating that Bark Skin, looking for the Cyclone. It is dangerous, though, for Meme Team to just completely ignore Corki in this matchup. He's going to be able to get out a lot of crowd control and a lot of damage, but now nice little Dragon's Breath coming in from Voltairix as he looks to reconnect onto Lontar. You can see Lontar just running away in Ghost Wolf. He does not want to allow Zray, Voltairix, and Drainer to connect to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely dangerous. You've got to be careful, but sometimes the risk is what you have to take. And I think that was one great thing we just saw there from Meme Team. They're respecting Corki during his cooldowns, but now that his cooldowns are down, we can see no incarnation for 60 seconds. They're going all in on Lontar. They force the Astral Shift once again. Great stuff from them. And Zray didn't even use his cooldowns there. Drainer taking a little bit of damage. Should just be able to crowd control Corki off to the side there. Lontar is really the target of choice for Meme Team at this point. And I mean, they've got a lot of uptime on him now. They've got another 30-35 seconds before they need to worry about Corki again. And they're just tunneling him down. He really doesn't have any defensives left. It's up to Lunatic to put out some sort of spread pressure, some sort of mitigation for these stuns to keep his healer alive.
Yeah, nice interrupt coming in from Voltairix. Anyone incapacitate, realizing this is Lontar's opportunity to actually cast out some heals. So just going to crowd control him up, CC him a little bit, while Zray has an opportunity to reconnect. Nice Tiger's Luskin coming in from Voltairix onto Drainer, but he actually gets hexed on the way of the Crane, and unfortunately Drainer doesn't have any way to get out of that, so nice CC coming in from Lontar. Now Zray having to play defensive in this matchup once again.
Yeah, and I mean, like CK said, in the interim period, if Drainer does, I mean, if they don't manage to get this kill, Meme Team, in the short term, then Drainer will be susceptible to crowd control, and definitely his team can die in dampening, as he's taking a fair bit of damage now, caught up into the Blood Elf Swarm, should be able to survive, fakes the wind shear, gets some damage out, trying to get some heals. He doesn't have that Way of the Crane for a little while, gets caught up into the DR stun, should just be able to port out of there if he needs to. You can see Voltairix providing him that shield that comes from the Broodmaster Monk as well, just any little bit of utility to keep his healer alive. But yes, like you said, as dampening starts to stack up, Meme Team will start to struggle here. They need to get this kill and this pressure onto Lontar. Even though they're the tank, they're the ones who are racing against the clock.
Yeah, Lontar finally avoiding those interrupts and able to get out some casted heals with that Ascendance. Now he's going to be kiting away once again. Way of the Crane's going to be down, and this is an opportunity, but he actually root beams onto the Way of the Crane, and Drain is going to be immune to that root, unfortunately for Corki, so a little bit of a misplay there. Now it looks like the Hammer of Justice is going to go out onto Drainer as they make a swap over onto him. He uses the Fortifying Elixir to keep himself alive. Lontar still kiting away a little bit longer, but look, actually wants to get aggressive on a Drainer, running on top of his port, and this is an opportunity for Meme Team to get super aggressive with the triple leg sweep onto Fake Zebras. Astral Shift going to be used by Lontar as he tries to kite away. Gets interrupted though, almost into the execute range. Lunatic and Corki need to keep him alive. Spirit Link Totem is forced out.
Yeah, Spirit Link Totem came up just in the nick of time. We're starting up dampening, 3% healing mitigation for both of these healers. This is where the game gets serious. This is where Lontar is really going to have a difficult time keeping himself alive as we see that buff stacking second by second, and now Lontar, he needs to be one, but on the flip side we can see Corki, he's got his Incarnation up in about 30 seconds. Drainer used his Way of the Crane there. There could be an opportunity once again. Tiger's lost on the freedom of the beam, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Corki's not using these beams to try lock out Drainer a little bit more, because I mean we do have that mitigation from Voltairix every single time. But
that is true, and there's a full stun onto Lunatic. He trinkets out. Zray looking to get aggressive onto him. Cyclone on that battle stance. Lontar not in any position where he can really be targeted down right now, but Voltairix and Zray are going to make a swap over onto him, trying to pressure him down once again. I really feel like Lontar is probably the main kill target for them. Eventually need to whittle through those cooldowns, but there's a full Hammer of Justice. Drainer has to trinket as well as use the Life Cocoon, so Big Zebra is finding pressure and momentum where they can. It's the double offensive cooldowns once again. Once those fade for Fake Zebras, it seems so difficult for them to find the damage that they need. Stormbolt over onto Lontar. Sanctuary going to be used by Lunatic to get him out of that stun. Allow him to get some casts off finally. Leg sweep onto Corki, and that's what Drainer's been doing this entire game. He's not really pushing in, putting pressure on the Lontar. He just, putting that damage onto Corki, CCing him up with the Incapacitate and the leg sweep, allowing Voltairix and Zray to really get that uptime they need.
You see double Incapacitates. Poor Zebras getting really caught out there, but I mean, they almost didn't show enough respect for the Quans. They did survive them though, crucially. Now Drainer has the opportunity. Way of the Crane up in about 5 seconds. Cyclone DR's coming off on Zray. They can get offensive onto Lontar here once again, but they still haven't forced that massive cooldown from Lunatic, of course, the Blessing of Protection, which is a complete immunity against this team. There's no purges on the side of Meme Teams. That will 100% keep Lontar alive. They're getting aggressive here though. Here's the Way of the Crane. They disorient both the DPS to deny any incoming peels. Into the double stun. Lontar taking damage. I would maybe expect to see that Way of the Crane or that Blessing of Protection coming out here, but he should just be able to get a couple of heals with the Blood Elf coming in just a little bit too late, and once again Lontar survives. And I mean, as time keeps ticking, you've got to say that Fake Zebras might have a chance to get the kill, but Lontar really not stabilizing right now.
Yeah, he gets interrupted once again, but keep in mind, Lontar always has the out of that Blessing of Protection coming in from Lunatic. They have no way to get that off, so if he's ever in big trouble like he is now, there's going to be that Blessing of Protection, but that's a big victory for Meme Team. Lontar doesn't really have anything left in terms of defensives, but Corki and Lunatic have their offensive CDs coming up in around 35 seconds, and that's going to be their opportunity at this point in dampening where they can really push through those defensives that Meme Team have available to them. Hammer of Justice on the Drainer. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to capitalize on that too much. Nice triple fear coming in from Zray as they're still just tunneling down Lontar.
Yeah, I mean, tanks do prolong the game, but I'm imagining we're not going to get to another Blessing of Protection as Lontar dropping low, caught up into the stun, into the silence. He's dropping so low, he doesn't have the Spirit Link for 2 seconds into the Stormbolt. Executes are not quite going to connect as we see that Spirit Link come out in the nick of time for Lontar. Now the offensive cooldowns are available for Corki. Can he get aggressive here as Ray dropping low? Cyclone over onto Drainer. Does his PvP trinket available though? Looks like he's just going to be sitting that one as once again Disaurian stun, incap from Voltairix onto Corki, denying this Moonkin. So frustrating for him.
Yeah, Zray doing a good job. He just kited away immediately, realizing the situation, realizing he could be in some trouble, and really not having to use any defenses because of that. Now Voltarics is going to get switched to the full hex over on the Drainer, but they weather that storm. They're able to survive. Cyclone going out onto Zray as well. Voltarics kiting away. He uses the Fortifying Elixir. It's a really powerful, long cooldown for Voltarics. You can see it's 7 minutes, so he shouldn't be dying while that is up. And once these cooldowns are over for Fake Zebras, Meme Team is going to be going back onto Lone Tar, trying to get that Astral Shift and eventually take him down. He doesn't have that busking protection for another minute and a half. But still, Corki doing such a good job slowing down the enemy team with the Cyclones over on the Drainers. Ray Force with the Dive of the Sword as he gets lower and lower. And maybe Meme Team has run out of time. Corki doing work. There's the full Hammer of Justice raised behind the pillar. Drainer comes over, dispels him out of that Hammer of Justice, uses the Life Cocoon, keeps him alive, but this is such a scary time for both teams.
Yeah, it was a nice Life Cocoon, barely in time, but Drainer, he must have been confident in it because he did hold on to his PvP trinket there, kind of knowing he would get over to Zray, but now he's caught up into another crowd control, into that full hex, uses the Way of the Crane out of that, another good Tiger's Lust coming in to deny that root beam as we see double stuns now. They're the team trying to get offensive, barkskin by Corki, although I don't think he's really the target of choice. Interestingly enough, they seem to have lost track of Lontar a little bit, but now they're swapping over onto him. Full stun, double fair, great setup coming in from Meme Team as they do force the Astral Shift and the Urban Shield Totem. This next push could be huge for them.
Yeah, Lone Tar getting interrupted. This is such a scary moment. He doesn't have anything. He needs to get these healing waves off. He gets interrupted once again. If he goes into execute range, it's going to be good night. Blood Out Silence, Drainer coming in for the kill. 1 execute, 2 executes, and Meme Team puts him down, tying up the series 1-1.
Oh, goodness. We are going to see that feeding time is over for the Zebra. Meta and Legion has all but settled. We're entering game number 3. Meme Team rocking the Brewmaster, and we're going to see the Fake Zebras with the Moonkin, with the Retribution Paladin. Who's going to take the lead in this elimination series?
We'll definitely have to see. So, what we saw in the last game, Meme Team trying to put out as much pressure as they can on the Lone Tar. When Corki and Lunatic use their offensive cooldowns, they just decide to live, use the Incapacitates, use the Dragon's Breath that Voltarics has, and pretty much just try to survive those offensives and then get aggressive once again over on the Lone Tar. Zray going to be opening up onto Corki. You can see Lone Tar positioning in the open, wants to avoid some of this damage coming in. You can see Drainer, Zray, and Voltarics. They're going to just line of sight. Yep. Use this pillar, run away, CC Corki, avoid as much damage as possible, and once those cooldowns fade, they're going to be charging after Lone Tar.
Yep, they want nothing to do with that Incarnation Kitty or Incarnation, I guess, Moonkin or Chicken. I'm not entirely sure what the entire name is, but Zray, just line of sighting, as we can say, playing entirely safe. He's got that guard up. You can see a little bubble around him. Voltarius keeping him nice and safe. Of course, quite a few bubbles on these monks. We've got Drainer with the Life Cocoon as well, which is something that's a big healing cooldown for them. And I mean, one of the big things that this map will cause challenging for Meme Team is that Drainer still has to play this kind of dancing game with the Way of the Crane, where he's a healer, so he wants to max range and avoid damage, but he needs to push in to get that melee damage. Now he's going to have a bigger distance to cross to do that, so he's definitely going to have a little bit of pressure on him as we see once again them getting aggressive onto Lone Tar.
Yeah, Lone Tar down to around 40% HP, going to be throwing out that Earthen Shield Totem. Corki looking for the crowd control, but you can see Drainer denying him. Look at that little mini game going on there. Cyclone coming in from Corki, he gets Life Swap, and now everyone can get aggressive once again over on the Lone Tar. Corki, once he gets out of that crowd control, going to be looking for Cyclones. Full Repentance going out onto Drainer, so that's one adaptation we've seen from Fake Zebras. Lunatic going to be putting out a little bit more crowd control with that Repentance talent.
Yeah, I really like that Repentance talent. Of course, the stuns get mitigated by the Way of the Crane. You can literally wave the Crane out of a stun, so Repentance on that Polymorph DR with the Cyclone on the Fear DR is great crowd control chains actually available for Fake Zebras. Maybe they can lock Drainer down just a little bit more, get the kill. That's what they're playing for. And this big map, you can see Corki kind of playing bodyguard, as Venruki was saying. Those mind games, like with Drainer trying to get the incap across the map, but oh my god, the range on that stun there. He actually caught Corki from like 20 yards away.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. Drainer now into the full root beam. Voltarius has to come back if he wants to land that Tiger's Lust, but actually Cyclone coming in, so that was nicely done by Corki. If Voltarius is too far from Drainer, he can capitalize on that and land the Cyclones out of the root beam before the Tiger's Lust comes in. Zray just going to be line of sighting as well as Voltarius. Drainer trying to reconnect to his team to actually get out those heals that he needs, and eventually he will. And this is the offensive cooldowns. It's the same thing we've been seeing from Meme Team. They're scared of the Incarnation coming in from Corki. They just want to line of sight. They want to avoid this damage. Where the Crane's going to be used, but a full Repentance. Now Zray's in a lot of trouble. He's going to have to run away. The DR Hex going out onto Drainer. Zray just line of sighting the best he can, but Lunatic charges in, trying to take him down. Drainer does have the Life Cocoon if he needs it, and opts to trade it out. with that Life Cocoon, that should stabilize Meme Team and give them an opportunity to once again try to put that pressure on the Lone Tar.
Yeah, it stabilizes them, but once again, close call. Fake Zebras, they know how to get this win condition. The Repentance playing out dividends for them, almost getting the kill. Now, they don't have those offensive cooldowns, though. Lontar taking the brunt of the damage, trades out Astral Shift and Urban Shield Totem, so big damage mitigation coming in from him. Dre still not out of the woods, though. Drainer struggling to keep him alive. Keg Toss to keep both the DPS from doing any damage. Lontar gets caught up in the kick now, needs to be a little bit careful. Does have that Spirit Link. Arcane Torrent, though, he needs to get it off. So low, Blessing of Protection comes in to save him in the nick of time. But of course, that's a very long cooldown for Lunatic, so a big win for Meme Team.
Yeah, there's no question about it. That is such a big deal. Lunatic now doesn't have that Blessing of Protection for another 3 minutes as they make a little bit of a swap over on him. Ray still tunneling down Lone Tar. Lone Tar, the only thing he really has left is that Spirit Link Totem. Forward beam over on the Drainer. Can Voltairix get it off? Looks like he rolls over. There's going to be the Tiger's Lust with the Incapacitate on the Corki. Nice little disorient on the Corki as well. Voltairix just being so disruptive on that Brewmaster Monk.
Yeah, I mean, the toolkit for the Brewmaster Monk, I mean, we talked about Guard, which is essentially a big shield that gets put on everyone. It's a 45-second cooldown, and it also converts any damage from 15 seconds onto Voltairix, making almost everyone else unkillable, essentially, during that time. But you've also got this Keg Smash, which is also a 45-second cooldown, Disorient with at least 20-30 yard range we saw on Corki. It's like, there's so much disruption, so much shielding coming in from Voltairix, and that's why it's really difficult for Fake Zebras to actually get the kill, but the Incarnation is the tool to do it. That's why they've kept Corki on this Moonkin, and that's why we've seen Shrey dropping low. They just need to get one more of those setups. You can see Incarnation available in about 1 second. They actually use the Incap on all of these cooldowns early, so now that he's off that, now that he's on all those DRs, they've used all that crowd control. They have a great opportunity here if they can land crowd control on Drainer.
Yeah, if they can get the Astral Shift of the Spirit Link Totem, it's going to be huge, but Meme Team doesn't want to overstay their welcome. They realize this is Fake Zebra's opportunity to push. Full Hex over on the Drainer, while Terex and Dre just going to be line of sighting once again. They don't want to allow Corki to do any damage. And this is such a nightmare situation. Full Root Beam is going to be used, but Way the Crane activated by Drainer as everyone is just line of sighting this damage coming in from Corki. It must be so frustrating to use your Incarnation. Everyone just uses the pillar to avoid your damage, and then when you finally don't have that and everyone's in the open, you're just getting incapacitated, you're getting disoriented, you're getting leg sweep, you're getting Blood Elf Silence, and it just is a nightmare for this Moonkin.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a guide on how to watch Mistweaver Monk playing Way of the Crane as a melee cleave, tank or no tank, you should watch how Meme Team are playing right now. Every single time Way of the Crane is down and offensive cooldowns are being popped, you want to be line of sighting those as much as possible. And then as soon as that threat is gone, as soon as Corki's Incarnation is down, which it is now, they push in again, they go for their kill target, they stick to their offensive win conditions, which in this game is to tunnel down Lontar. You can see Voltairix getting aggressive. He incaps Lontar to try help Ray connect, and Ray does need to be a little bit careful here since Lunatic is putting a fair bit of damage. We see the full Repentance land onto Drainer right now, but without those offensive damage cooldowns, you can imagine they're going to try get aggressive onto Lontar, try force that Spirit Link Totem. Yeah,
if they can get the Spirit Link Totem or the Astral Shift, it's actually not looking too bad for Fake Zebras, though. 30 seconds on that Blessing of Protection. Dre gets swapped to. It's going to be his dive of the sword. Voltairix, let's see if he can get some peels in, keep Dre alive. Corki spams out the Half Moon. Leg sweep over on the Lone Tar. Pressure for both teams in this situation. There's a full Repentance landed, nicely done by Lunatic, and full Fear going to be used by Zray. Realizing his healer is in crowd control, wants to slow down some incoming damage. Full Moon being cast out by Corki, though. Not really doing too much to Zray, honestly. That guard from the Brewmaster Monk and D-Stand is going to be deflecting a lot of that damage.
Yeah, deflecting a lot of damage indeed as they do retreat behind the pillar once again. Drainer keeping his team. We see Dampening starting to stack up, that 9% healing reduction. So both these teams will have work against them, but we saw it definitely worked against Fake Zebras mostly just because of all the crowd control the Meme Team can put out onto Corki, mitigating that incoming damage. We see Incarnation once again. Now full Cyclone onto Drainer. They're trying to get aggressive onto Dre. Here comes the Avenging Wrath as well. Dre once again line of sighting though. Still not reconnecting with his healer. If they can keep this crowd control going, they have an opportunity here, but Zray just playing it so well, so carefully, and he reconnects with Drainer, should be fine.
Yeah, Drainer able to get in there, but he lands full Repentance once again, so he is stuck into that crowd control, has every single defensive available. Zray, though, going to be using the Stormbolt on the Lunatic. Drainer finally gets out of the crowd control with his Trinket, going to be activating the Life Cocoon as well, so not too bad for Fake Zebras, but that was their offensive push. Now Meme Team has an opportunity to get on the Lone Tar once again. In the last game, we saw it end at around 30% dampening, so as it gets higher and higher, it becomes so difficult for Lone Tar to actually keep himself alive on this push, but the CC coming in from Fake Zebras on the Drainer is just incredible. level.
Yeah, I guess Lunatic saw an opportunity there. He actually used the Divine Shield in the midst of all that. So Drainer caught up into the Cyclone. Maybe that opportunity is going to be the kill. Dre trades out the Commanding Shout, leaps away, using everything he can. This is dangerous times for them. Drainer does not have any healing cooldowns, but they actually managed to get behind the pillar. That was a big all-in coming out from Fake Zebras there, committing that Divine Shield. A huge defensive cooldown, though. Of course, Lunatic not the target, so not a big deal for them. But without that now, they won't have that as a defensive tool or a defensive tool to save Lontar. A big all-in, narrowly escaped by Meme Team.
Yeah, this map is working out so well for Fake Zebras. Drainer now into that full root beam. He activates the Way of the Crane, wanting to get aggressive, putting some damage over on the Corki as Lunatic looks to be the target of choice for Meme Team. Nice breath of fire coming in from Volterius. Can they take him down? Bloodhouse Silence after Bloodhouse Silence. Manages to get that Blessing of Protection off in the last second, but that was such a scary moment. Now a Fear over on a Lone Star. It is DR though, so maybe a bit of a misplay there. Breath of Fire does DR with that Fear, so not going to get full value out of that. Repentance over onto Drainer. Volteric's taking a little bit of damage, but he's going to be completely fine in this situation. He's kind of babysitting Zray, wanting to keep him alive as his healer is in that crowd control.
Yeah, I mean, Fake Zebras, they went for the play with the Divine Shield, but then they had to trade out the Blessing of Protection there. And then suddenly, when Lunatic's taking that much damage, it almost makes me wonder, Elliot, can they just kill this Retribution Paladin? I mean, he's on top of them all game. They did crazy damage to him there, maybe caught him off guard a little bit. But either way, Divine Shield down, Blessing of Protection not available for Lunatic or Lontar as he gets aggressive. He actually gets stunned there on his leap. Dre with a good play, pushing in. Volterius gets the incap onto Lontar. They're trying to get aggressive, get the pommel, get some damage onto Lontar.
Yeah, top of the sword going to be used by Zray. Root beam over on a Drainer. This is an opportunity for Fake Zebras. Nice double leg sweep going out. Volterius and Drainer use that leg sweep as a defensive sort of slow down some of the damage coming from Fake Zebras. Zray now caught into the full Cyclone. 27% dampening. This is Ascendance going to be used by Lontar. This is the offensive push coming in from Fake Zebras, and Meme Team may have overstayed their welcome. Fortifying Elixir is going to be used by Drainer as he gets out of line of sight behind the pillar, so he's going to be completely fine. Full Moon being cast out there by Corki. Moonkin putting out all kinds of pressure onto the entire team of Meme Team. But Drainer, man, he's not going to be able to keep this up for much longer as dampening gets higher and higher.
Yeah, I mean, Drainer's been doing a great job, but as Zico said in the pre-game of Game 1, the Wristweaver Monk definitely susceptible to that dampening buff. They can catch him out. They forced the Trinket and the Fortified Brew there, so definitely an opportunity, but that was the incarnation from Corki. So once again, respect trade coming in from Meme Team. They're trying to get aggressive, but honestly, they're struggling to really make any dents on the side of Lontar, who still has that Spirit Link. So even though we're at 31% dampening, it's looking much better for Fake Zebras. Of course, they died by this point last time. Now with the bigger map, they're looking a lot better. It's harder for the melee cleave to cross as we see another full Repentance onto Drainer.
Yeah, Volterius coming back as he's getting targeted down as well. So this is such a scary moment for Drainer. Activates the Way of the Crane. He has the Revival. He has the Life Cocoon. Might have to use it. Incapacitate over on the Corki. Finally, they're able to reconnect on the Lontar, but he has still every single defensive available. That's going to be the Earthen Shield Totem. Slow down some of this damage incoming. He has the Astral Shift available, but so many interrupts available for Meme Team. As Lontar gets lower and lower, he actually gets interrupted. Astral Shift up. It's so much damage reduction. I don't think he's going to get taken down here in this moment. Spirit Link forced out as well. Meme Team, that was a huge victory for them.
That was a huge help move, just as they actually covered the root beam there for the first time I think I've seen them do that. That cross crowd control denying the freedom coming out of Volterius there. They almost got the kill, but Corki also dropping low leg sweep. 37% damaging healing reduction for both of these teams to contend with as we see the incap. Corki so low with that bark skin, but Repentance on the other side. They try to turn it around, but Corki dies first. Meme Team take the game, and they're 2-1 up in this series. This new Master Monk undefeated in the tournament so far.
Yeah, Corki wanting to get aggressive in the last few moments of that.
To this great position, who will stay alive in the tournament and who will be sempacking?
Yep, that's what we're here to see. Meme Team, of course, one game away from eliminating Fake Zebras from the entire competition. This lower bracket elimination series, and they're one game away. But one of the things I do want to touch on, which Zico did talk about, is those swaps over onto Volterius. Even though tanks you can't taunt a player, right? But they have a lot of mechanics which mitigate damage for their partners. So sometimes, oddly enough, even though you might think the tank is the worst target, he can actually be the best. And that could be an interesting adaptation from Fake Zebras if they do set up that cross crowd control.
Yeah, one of the deadly things about a Brewmaster Monk, though, is when you attack a Brewmaster Monk, they have an honor talent that when they use their Purifying Brew, they're actually doing additional damage. So when you attack that Brewmaster Monk, he's going to be putting massive AoE pressure out with that Purifying Brew. So it can be scary, but I do agree they are very susceptible to burst if they can land those Hammer of Justices.
Yeah, but it's something we're going to have to be watching, of course. Not easy. Meme Team have a lot of crowd control breaks. They have their trinkets. They're playing smartly around Corki's offensives, which he did pop there. Didn't really achieve too much. So we see the Incap now, or the Repentance rather, going over onto Drainer, but Volterius just potting away. It does look like they're actually hitting him as their main target now. Clearly they spotted a slight weakness potentially in that last game, but like Elliot said, high risk, high reward potentially.
Yeah, Breath of Fire going out from Volterius, just trying to control up at Fake Zebra at this point. If they can stabilize, this is when Meme Team wants to get aggressive. They have survived the offensive push from Fake Zebras, and now they're looking to reconnect onto Lone Tar. He actually gets Storm Bolted there on his gust of wind, so very nicely done by Zray. Lone Tar really doesn't have any mobility at this point, but a full Repentance secured over on a Drainer. Does Corki have any follow-up? I'm not exactly sure, but Lone Tar in the meantime having to use that Astral Shift to keep himself alive.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it already. Lone Tar taking a lot more damage than in the previous game. Might have to use one of those significant cooldowns, either the Spirit Link or the Blessing Protection. Looks like he uses the Ascendant, gets us a couple of heals. Actually gets the DR Hex over onto the Way of the Crane. That's going to trigger Zray to leap behind the pillar. The entire team retreating. Corki didn't use his offensive cooldowns there, though. They got the, Ascendant, which is obviously quite a big cooldown, but it's not the Spirit Link or the Blessing Protection, which are the two kind of savers for Lone Tar. So he still has those to hold on to.
Yeah, Corki going for the full moon. He gets incapacitated there. Volterius and Zray going to be running to the pillar. Once again, Lone Tar positioned a little bit too far away, but that was a minor victory for them, getting the Earthen Shield Totem, getting the Astral Shift. If they can reconnect, they might be able to punish, get the Spirit Link Totem, get something, but a full Repentance secured. Once again, Lunatic doing such a good job. That was such a good adaptation. Full Cyclone, Zray getting low. There's a Trinket, Cocoon, and the Dive by the Sword that was forced out. Meme Team overlapping huge.
Yeah, huge cooldowns coming out once again for Corki's Incarnation. Now it comes down to those opportunities we were talking about in the pre-game. They need to find an opportunity to kill without that Incarnation, whether it's Lunatic bubbling to get a Repentance, whatever it is, that's what they're looking for. Corki still being this huge pillar, the huge turret of damage right now in the middle of the map. That Incarnation will be fading shortly, though. We see another full Hexlo landed over onto Drainer. Lone Tar once again on point with those Hexes. He's been doing such a great job, and this is a point where Fake Zebras are getting offensive. They are the ones that really have the momentum, but once again, Drainer's just playing it smart, line of sighting, avoiding as much incoming crowd control and damage as possible, and just keeping his team alive.
Yeah, and I think this is a good adaptation from Meme Team. They kind of realize they're not going to kill Lone Tar this early on in the game, or maybe they are. I thought they would go onto the DPS, maybe try to just slow them down a little bit and stall out the game as long as possible. But it looks like Lone Tar once again getting tunneled down. Nice pummel coming in there from Zray as Lone Tar gets lower and lower. Astral Shift going to be forced out. Lunatic and Corki caught into that leg sweep. Repentance secured by Lunatic though, but Lone Tar still dangerously low. Bloodhouse Silence coming in as well. That Earthen Shield Totem is going to fade soon, and that's an opportunity for Volterius and Zray to really put out a lot of pressure, but they're forced defensive once again. I mean, they got those two cooldowns, the Astral Shift and the Earthen Shield Totem, and then they're just forced to run away. So they need to be able to stay in just a little bit longer to get the Spirit Link, the Blessing of Protection. Those are the two major cooldowns they need to work through.
Yeah, I mean, they've been gunning for it, but I think Fake Zebras have had a great job with their offense so far. We can see another good cross crowd control coming out from Corki himself this time, denying the Tiger's Lust coming in with the Cyclone over to Volterius. So I think he's been getting better and better at the matchup. Obviously, it's not something you face every day. The Brewmaster Mistweaver used to be quite popular back in the day, but it hasn't been played so much. Volterius, one of the few to keep it going. We see Repentance landing over onto Drainer right now, trying to get aggressive, but once again, just annoying. Breath of Fire, just doing whatever he can to mitigate the DPS or the damage incoming from Fake Zebras, and Corki with his offensive cooldowns not able to achieve too much here.
Yeah, Volterius rolls away, just disrupting Corki like you said, but I think Fake Zebras is doing a good job splitting up their offensive this game. It gives them more of an opportunity, and it makes it more difficult for Meme Team to actually make a push. Zray getting low now as the Incarnation is going to be fading from Corki. He activates his Avenging Wrath, looking to get aggressive. Cyclone into Hex on a Drainer. Zray almost into execute range. 10% HP, just kiting away. The Brewmaster Monk defensive is going to be keeping him alive a little bit longer. Drainer finally able to get some heals with that Way of the Crane, keeping him alive and topping him off. And now Meme Team has survived, and they're going to be looking to get aggressive.
Another really close call, though. No dive by the sword on Zray. Drainer gets caught up into multiple crowd control, trinkets into another full hex. And I mean, Fake Zebras are creating these opportunities, but they need to land the kill. 2% dampening. They've probably got another 3-4 minutes life expectancy. They are against the clock. We've seen that in 2 games in a row now. And Corki is the one leading it. 50 seconds on his Incarnation. He's trying to go for the full moon, but once again, line of sight. Or actually, Drainer get caught up in the Repentance behind there, but but once again, Dre just porting behind the pillar, doing whatever he can. Root Beam, though, still a bit of trouble. Dive by the sword forced. Excellent for Fake Zebras now, forcing that dive by the sword before the incarnation.
Yeah, DR Hex over on the Drainer. Zray could still be in some trouble. Cyclone now. Zray needs to kite away. He's on top of him. This is not a position he wants to be in. He needs to get away.
Oh my goodness!
Zebras will take him down.
Meme Team tied 2-2. I'm so happy to see Fake Zebras. They earned their stripes in that one, and we're going to game 5.
Well, Ruins of Lordaeron, a final fitting resting place. One of these teams going to be eliminated from our second EU Cup of the second season of the year. Is it going to be Fake Zebras or the Meme Team?
And you can see Drainer's actually going to be playing the Blinding Light, so they're going to be looking to get some sort of crowd control chain going, but I think if this game goes too long, Meme Team is going to be in a world of hurt. There's a full Hammer of Justice over on the Drainer right away. Corki looking to get aggressive as well. As you can see, Meme Team just rushing over on the Lone Tower once again. Loveless though, Astral Shift going to be forced out. Might just go down in the opener. That is going to be the Blessing of Sacrifice coming in from Drainer as he uses Bubble. He uses his Trinket. He uses a Blessing of Sacrifice. Basically everything to keep Loveless alive. That was a huge overlap, but Fake Zebra's falling a little bit behind. But Lone Tower in a pretty good position right now. Popping the Ascendants, can be able to top off his team. I think Meme Team made a huge mistake with this composition.
I mean, I think they just made a huge mistake there, period. You have to respect Corki. We know it on the Incarnation especially. They forced everything from Meme Team, and you can see the strategy from Meme Team. They are trying to maybe split it up just a little bit. They're getting some damage onto Lontar and Corki, playing around the Earth Shield, playing around the Retribution, Paladin, Cleave. But now, because they're so far behind, they can't even put damage onto Lontar. They have to tunnel down Corki, and there's a lot of cooldowns to go through, of course. Still the Blessing Protection, the Hand of Sanctuary from that Retribution Paladin as Drainer is dropping low. He's down to 20%. He's used everything already. Has to worry about the Rebuke coming in from the Ret Paladin. He's trying to kite away, get off that artifact, getting some heals out now as Corki is the one dropping low, but one more setup from Meme Team, or on Meme Team, could be it, and here comes the Root Beam.
Yeah, there's the full Root Beam. Loveless has to kite away. Lunatic, though, on top of him. Ret Paladin having a difficult time reconnecting to his target. There's a full Cyclone coming in as well. Some nice CC coming in from Fake Zebras. Hammer of Justice on the Loveless. Cyclone on the Drainer. Loveless getting lower and lower, trying to kite away. But Drainer into the Hex. He dispels it right away. Nicely done, but Lava Burst come crashing in from Lone Tar, trying to take Loveless down. Drainer doing everything he can to keep him alive, but this is a nightmare situation. Corki going for the full Cyclone. Lands it on the Loveless with that Astral Shift. That was a beautifully timed if they get any CC on the Drainer. This is such a scary moment. Looks like Lunatic wants to go for that Hammer of Justice, but doesn't have it available. Drainer actually able to survive and keep his team topped off. Blessing of Protection going to be used by Lunatic, and now Corki's actually surprisingly vulnerable.
Yeah, that Blessing and Protection, and maybe this is a case of being a little overzealous. We saw it in Game 3 from them as well. Now they use that without much gain. Corki dropping low, uses the Bark Skin, trades out, uses in actually Spiritling coming out there as well. So suddenly the game goes from Meme Team being the team behind, struggling, looking bad in this game. Now Fake Zebras have to use every single cooldown. Trinket from Lontar, Spiritling, Bark Skin, everything. Loveless dropping low, the rest of the full Windshake comes out into Drainer. Hex should be able to get dispelled. Both these teams living on knife edge at this point.
Drainer Trinket's out! Getting low, trying to keep himself alive with these wings. Holy like tops himself off. Holy moly. Corki now down to 60% HP. Lone Tar, he doesn't have his Trinket available. If they can land some CC onto him, Corki is definitely susceptible to a kill, but Loveless and Drainer just playing so defensive in this position. Loveless, he has his Trinket coming up in 10 seconds. There's a Root Beam over on the Drainer, but unfortunately for them, it breaks, and now Drainer has an opportunity to get those heals over on the Loveless. Loveless has to get aggressive, though. Wind Shear on the Lone Tar, Stormbolt onto Corki, as big damage is going out onto Corki. Earthling Shield Totem is going to be dropped off, but Loveless could be in a lot of trouble. Astral Shift not available for another 5 seconds.
Yeah, Drainer just sitting in the back line, able to toss out some heals, but Dre still dropping low. He doesn't have any big cooldowns. Wind Shear coming in. They're pushing for crowd control. One more Cyclone still would seal the deal. We do see it now. Dre having to run behind the pillar. Lunatic pushing in, though. Here comes the Half Moon. Can they get the follow-up Cyclone? Doesn't look like it. Good Arcane Torrent, though, to follow up into the Hammer of Justice. They have so much crowd control on Fake Zebras. They're so close to getting the kill. Rallying Cry comes out. Big heals from Drainer, able to stabilize his warrior for now. They need to get some offensive pressure, though, because Corki has the Bark Skin back up. There's a lot of defenses on Fake Zebras for them to go through. Yeah,
this is not looking good for Meme Team. They need to get through so many defensives. Lone Tar's mana is not doing that great, though. They have a little bit of an advantage there, but I doubt it's going to end up mattering. There's the full blind coming in from Drainer. Corki down to 50% HP. He's going to be camping in that bear form, using that Frenzied Regen. Has Earth Shield. It's going to be very tanky to all this damage. The Root Beam over on the Drainer. Astral Shift going to be used by Loveless as he runs away, trying to line of sight. Nice Fear coming in from Dre, trying to slow down the enemy team. But Dre doesn't have any defensives as they make a swap over onto him. Corki casting out the full moon. Dre leaps away. full Hex over on Drainer, immediately dispelled into a Cyclone, so nice CC coming in from Corki still. These are the offensive cooldowns, such a scary moment. Tournament life on the line for both of these teams. Meme team, though, on the back foot.
Yeah, we saw a good hand of sacrifice coming in from Drainer there. She uses the Blessing of Protection as well just to try get some damage. Bloodless coming out onto him to increase his healing. Loveless definitely feeling the pressure as he's dropping low. Barely survives that. He's still running away. Capacitor stun. Loveless has nothing. They have nothing to keep him alive. Avenging Wrath though. Big heals coming in. No offensive cooldowns. He kites away. Should be able to reconnect, but Drainer doesn't have anything either. He needs to be careful. Line of sight that Cyclone. Well played by him. And Meme Team once again on the... I mean, they're on the brink. They're so close to dying, but they survive once again.
Yeah, Loveless is barely holding on for dear life as Drainer is able to reconnect to him and top him off. Bloodlust going to be available for Meme Team. Corki still has the bark skin though. They still have pretty much every defensive Spiritling totem coming up in 5 seconds. That's going to be huge for them to survive the onslaught coming in from Meme Team. Dampening has just kicked in and both of these healers are almost completely tapped on mana. Bubble going to be available for Drainer, so that's a big thing for Meme Team to keep themselves alive. Zray taking a bunch of damage. Corki, his main offensive cooldown is going to be up in 50 seconds. Blinding Light over on the Lone Tars, both Corki and Lunatic taking a whole bunch of damage. That was actually overlapped with the Blessing of Protection and the Blessing of Sanctuary, so Fake Zebra's really respecting this final offensive push coming in from Meme Team.
Yeah, good respect from them. They do survive it once again, of course. Spiritlink's still available. Lontar's mana is still a little bit of a problem, but thus so far is Drainer's. He's also down. Both of these healers running on fumes at this point. It's 5% dampening. It's the same length as the last game, but this is in a completely different story. The Turbo Cleave really pushing on that high tempo gameplay as Loveless once again dropping low. They need to be careful they don't get burned by this as Drainer getting out some heals. Does have that Avenging Wrath coming up in about 25 seconds, so he's kind of turtling until that. You can see Loveless is always playing a little bit more defensively whilst those big healing cooldowns aren't available, and then when they do have those, they push in, they go for the Blinding Light, go for the Hammer of Justice, try get aggressive, but with that Spirit Link still available, it's an uphill battle for Meme Team.
Yeah, Corki and Lunatic, the Wings Incarnation Wombo combo going to be going out. Lone Tar gets caught into a Hex, but immediately dispelled by Corki. Now Loveless trying to line of sight once again on that enhancement. Shaman trying to run away. Drainer trying to reconnect. He has his wings up, so he should be able to top off his team. 10% dampening. If Meme Team can survive just a little bit longer, they might ultimately be able to take Corki down. Now caught into the full Stormbolt. Drainer, though, looks to be the target of choice. Blessing Protection going to be used to keep himself alive. Tops himself off with a huge Holy Light. Now Corki having used the Bark Skin, and that is the Spiritling Totem coming in from Fake Zebras as well. So both teams having so much pressure and both teams running out of time.
I mean, considering how bad the opener was for Meme Team, Drainer has been playing like an absolute god to keep his team alive. It's been such difficult situations. They've all been pushing in, pushing for those interrupts, and somehow, some way, he's found opportunities, but they haven't landed the kill. Once again, Avenging Wrath is now down. He is completely dry on mana. No blue bar, no healing. Full Hammer of Justice. Corki can't connect though. He's got call up. If he gets over there, he does now. This could be it. Drainer gets the blood off sense. He's gonna die. This is game 5, and Meme Team are eliminated from the competition.
Just like that, you can even see how scared Meme Team had to be of the massive amounts of damage that Lunatic and Corki could get out. We saw when they popped both of their cooldowns, just both Loveless and Zray trying to run as far.
I mean, this was basically, at this point, the game has dragged on for far too long, and a big reason for that, of course, is the opener, that the Zebras consistently had good pressure going, and this is the final moments of the game. You can see Drainer has been Hammer of Justice up, and he doesn't have much to work with, and I really can't help but wonder if it would have been better for Fake Zebras to actually be Alliance here, because Drainer would have another extra break for these stuns that are setting up, well, the kills in general here for Fake Zebras. So on the flip side, of course, we can see the Enhance and the Warrior are trying to kill Corki over here, and we can see that the Retribution Paladin is going to try to take down Drainer here now that he has no more mana left in the tank and no ways to get out of these stuns. And there he is. Lunatic's gonna come in and start using all of his damaging abilities onto Drainer. Beautiful timing on that cap totem from Lontar. Lontar's been playing phenomenally this game, even